Dear students, let us start today's topic with the concept of ecosystem. Living organisms and their non-living environment are inseparably interrelated and interact with each other. In a given area, all organisms, that is, communities, interact with the non-living environment in a way that flow of energy leads to clearly defined trophic structure, biotic diversity, and material cycles, that is, exchange of materials between living and non-living components within the system. This unit of living organisms interacting with non-living environment in an orderly, self-sufficient manner is known as an ecological system or ecosystem. The term ecosystem was first proposed in 1935 by the British ecologist Sir Arthur G. Tansley. An ecosystem could be of any size depending on the communities to be studied. An ecosystem may be thus as small as a pond or a cropland or as large as an ocean, desert or forest. All the ecosystems of the earth are connected to one another. Like river ecosystem is connected with the ecosystem of the ocean, and a small ecosystem of deadlock is a part of a large ecosystem of a forest. A complete self-sufficient ecosystem is rarely found in nature, but situations approaching self-sufficiency may occur. Now let us come to the types of ecosystems. Different types of ecosystems of nature constitute the giant ecosystem, that is the biosphere. Based on the nature of ecosystem, may be broadly classified into natural ecosystem. Natural ecosystems operate themselves under natural conditions. Based on the habitat types, it may be further divided into two types. Terrestrial ecosystem. This ecosystem is related to land. Example, forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, desert ecosystem, tundra ecosystem. The other type of ecosystem is the aquatic ecosystem. This ecosystem is related to water. It is further subclassified into two types based on the salt content. Number one, freshwater ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystem is also divided into two types, running water ecosystem or the lotic ecosystem such as rivers and streams. And the other type of freshwater ecosystem is the standing water ecosystem or the lentic ecosystem such as lakes, ponds, pools, etc. The other type of aquatic ecosystem is the marine ecosystem, which includes deep bodies of an ocean or shallow ones such as sea or estuary. The other type of ecosystem is the artificial or man-engineered ecosystems. Artificial ecosystem is operated or maintained by man, where by addition of energy and plant manipulations, natural balance is disturbed regularly. For example, cropland like maize, wheat, rice fields, aquariums, etc. Students, now let us consider the two major aspects of ecosystem, that is the structure and function of ecosystem. Structure of the ecosystem. Structure of an ecosystem is characterized by the organization of both biotic and abiotic components. It also includes the climatic conditions prevailing in that particular environment. The structure of an ecosystem has two basic components. First, the abiotic components. Abiotic components are any non-living components present in an ecosystem. This includes inorganic substances such as carbon, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, water, which is involved in material cycles. The second one is the organic compounds such as proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, humic acids, and so on that link biotic and abiotic components. The third is the climatic regimes, which includes temperature, moisture, light, and topography. Now let us come to the second component, that is the biotic components. Biotic components are any living components that affects another organism or shapes the ecosystem. It may be plants, animals, fungi, and bacteria. Biotic components are typically sorted into three main categories. The first one is the producer. Producers are autotrophic organisms, mostly green plants or algae, that can manufacture their own food from simple inorganic substances by photosynthesis. In deep-sea hydrothermal ecosystems, where there is no sunlight, the primary producers manufacture food through a process of chemosynthesis. The second biotic component is the consumers or the heterotrophs. Consumers or heterotrophs are organisms that depend on another organism for food. Consumers are further classified into primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. Primary consumers. Primary consumers are always herbivores that rely on producers for food. The secondary consumers depend on primary consumers for energy. They can be either carnivore or an omnivore. And the third consumer is the tertiary consumers, which are organisms that depend on secondary consumers for food. They can also be an omnivore. The third category of biotic components are the decomposers or detritivores. Decomposers break down dead plants and animal material and release it again as energy and nutrients into the ecosystem for recycling. Decomposers such as bacteria and fungi feed on waste and dead matter, converting it into inorganic chemicals that can be recycled for mineral nutrients for plants to use it again. Now, let us come to the second aspect, that is the function of an ecosystem. By function, we mean the rate of biological energy flow, that is the production and respiration rates of the communities. The rate of material or nutrient cycles, biological or ecological regulation, including both regulation of organisms by environment, that is photoperiodism, etc., and regulation of environment by the organism, that is nitrogen fixing organism, etc. This both structure and functions are best studied together, and now we shall consider a brief outline of rate functions of an ecosystem, that is, how an ecosystem works or operates under natural conditions. From the operational viewpoint, the living and the non-living components of ecosystem are so interwoven into the fabric of nature that their separation from each other becomes practically very much difficult. The mode of movement of materials and energy in an ecosystem is presented in a simple model. The producers, that is the green plants, fix the radiant energy of the sun, and with the help of minerals such as carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, etc., taken from soil and aerial environment, that is the nutrient pool, build up the complex organic matter, that is carbohydrates, fats, proteins, nucleic acids, etc. The two ecological processes, that is the energy flow and mineral cycling, which involve interaction between biotic and abiotic components, lie at the heart of the ecosystem dynamics. According to the model, energy flows in a non-cyclic manner, that is unidirectional form, from the sun to the decomposers via the producers and the consumers, that is the herbivores and carnivores. Whereas the mineral cycles keep on moving in a cyclic manner. It is now clear that there is transfer of both energy and nutrients from producers to consumers, and finally to the decomposers level. In this transfer, there is a progressive decrease of energy, but nutrient component is not diminished, and it shows cycling from abiotic to biotic and vice versa. Now let us come to the productivity of ecosystem. The productivity of an ecosystem refers to the rate of production, that is the amount of organic matter accumulated in any unit time. Primary productivity of an ecological system is defined as the rate at which the radiant energy is converted by the photosynthetic and chemosynthetic activity of producer organisms, chiefly by the green plants, to organic substances. It is important to distinguish the 4 successive steps in the production process, which is follows. Number 1 is the gross primary productivity, or GPP. GPP, or gross primary productivity, is the total rate of photosynthesis, including the organic matter used up in respiration during the period of measurement. This is also known as total photosynthesis. The second is the net primary productivity, or NPP. It is the rate of storage of organic matter in plant tissues that exceeds the respiratory use, which is designated by R, by the plants during the period of measurement. This is also termed as net assimilation. So NPP equals to GPP minus R, where R is the energy used up in respiration. Both gross and net primary productivity are expressed in units of mass per unit area per unit time interval. In terrestrial ecosystems, mass of carbon per unit area per year is most often used as the unit of measurement. The third is the net community productivity. It is the rate of storage of organic matter not used by heterotrophs, that is, net primary production minus heterotrophic consumption during the period under consideration, usually during the growing season or a year. The fourth, finally, the rates of energy storage at consumer levels, which is referred to as secondary productivities. Now, let us discuss the productivity of different ecosystems. Net primary productivity varies among different ecosystems and depends on many factors. This includes solar energy input, temperature and moisture levels, carbon dioxide levels, nutrient availability and community interactions, which is by grazing by the herbivores. These factors affect how many photosynthesizers are present to capture light energy and how efficiently they can perform their role. According to the estimated net primary production data in different kinds of ecosystem of the world, tropical forest has the highest NPP, followed by temperate forest among the terrestrial ecosystems. Because in tropical forests, plants have constant high levels of water and light, and the nutrient supply is as high as possible due to rapid decomposition. While in the aquatic ecosystem, coral reefs and estuaries has the highest net primary productivity. Moderate net primary productivity are shown by boreal forests, savanna and grasslands. Tundra and alpine forests and deserts have the lowest net primary productivity of the entire terrestrial ecosystem, while open ocean has the lowest net primary productivity among the aquatic ecosystems. So that is the end of today's lecture. So let us summarize what we have learned today. Today we have learned about the concept of ecosystem, different types of ecosystem, the structure, that is the biotic and the abiotic components, and one functional aspect, that is the primary productivity of ecosystem. Thank you.